Lover's Way, and the pictures you see here. And the question I get most asked is about what the inspiration for the story was. And I don't know how clearly you can see this, but you can come up afterwards and look. The story originated from a conversation I had with my son-in-law's father, Vince Giles. Vince and I both grew up in Sacramento, and he lived in an unincorporated section of the city. One day a deer showed up like a lost puppy. Literally adopted them. She would knock on the door with her hoof to be let in. She slept with the children. And eventually she did return to the wild. But they actually named her Bambi, not realizing that Bambi was actually a buck. Only Disney could get away with that, right? But this is a picture of her and Vince's father, Ed's grandfather, for back in the day. We won't talk about how long ago that was. So I brought up, as you heard, Pip, the rescue dog that finds Amber in the forest. And this is a picture of Pip. I actually got to meet him. He's a retired canine search and rescue dog. This is a picture of me. The one in the book is much nicer. If you ignore this part, the dog looks great. Me, I look, but it was wonderful meeting him. He no longer hears, but he sees really well, and he's on the trail. Still on the trail, but enjoying himself, mostly not looking for people. It's actually interesting how I got to meet him. I knew I wanted, well, actually my publisher came down and said I needed to add another chapter to the book, and I made it a prologue. And that's when I came up with the idea for the story to have her get lost in the woods. And that's actually when Amber is 5 years old. She's in a new mission, and her mother and her go to Placerville. And so I have her get lost, and I wanted to put in a search and rescue dog. And I looked up, which I do a lot of research on Google, looked up the search and rescue organization there to find out. I wanted to know more about it. I didn't just want to say they found her, right? I wanted to know, well, is an ambulance on hand? Do they automatically take them to the doctor? I'm sorry, I keep going in now. Or, you know, what the whole process is. So I emailed the sheriff's department there, and Deputy Bear, Scott Bear, I mean the character's Deputy Scott, answered me, and he told me all about it. And it was wonderful talking to him. But when he helped me with the story afterwards, he kind of wrote me when I said, you know, I'd like to put you in my acknowledgments, and he said, I know this is a stretch, but would you be willing to name the dog that finds Amber Pip? Because we have a search and rescue dog that's retiring after 13 years, and we'd like to honor him. Was I gonna say no? I don't think so. So he was very grateful, and they kind of put their search and rescue organization behind it, and which was wonderful. But interestingly enough, he also had a deer story. As you know, Highway 50 goes right through Placerville, and they had a deer show up, like a lost puppy, that they raised until she was old enough to return to the wild. So it was like serendipity, and throughout my story, serendipity has played a huge part, and you'll see what I mean. So when I was deciding, I knew that I wanted to write about cancer. I am a cancer survivor. And while I was mulling over whether I wanted to have Amber's mother have cancer and her dealing with her mother's situation, or whether I wanted to have Amber as a young child have childhood cancer. And because of the deer story, I thought probably lend itself better to a young little girl having cancer. And so I started researching cancer, of course, childhood cancer, and first that came up, of course, was leukemia, and then brain cancer. Well, something I'd never heard of, neuroblastoma, came up, and that's actually the third most common childhood cancer. I'd never heard of it. Nobody I knew had ever heard of it. So, of course, I Googled it, and I came across different foundations that have children, that help children and families. And I came across one, that Children's Neuroblastoma Cancer Foundation. It's actually in Bloomingdale, Illinois, which is unusual for me to find someone that far or something that far away. But I just picked up the phone and I thought, I want to know more about this, and I thought I'll call and maybe get some brochures about it and find out more. I definitely I'd never heard of it and I wanted to find out about it. So I called the number, and to my surprise, the founder and president answered the phone, Patricia Tulunga. And Patricia actually lost her son Nick at age 10 to neuroblastoma. She answered the phone, and it was like I was lost for a second. She said, "Hello, is anybody there?" And I'm, "Oh, yeah." I said, I'm just surprised because I didn't expect you to answer the phone. She goes, "I'm the chief cook and bottle washer today, so you got me." I said, "Oh, that's okay." So we really hit it off. We were so simpatico. And at one point she confessed, she goes, "Gloria, I'm just not much of a reader." I said, "Pat, you never tell an author you don't like to read, never." So later in the conversation, she mentioned she's a mathematician, was a math teacher. And I said, "Oh, Pat, I hate math." "Gloria, you never tell a mathematician you hate math." I said, "Okay, we agreed." But throughout the writing of the story, Pat helped me. She put her foundation behind it. And because of that, you'll see on the book, part of the proceeds are going to her foundation. And again, serendipity. When I was coming towards the ending chapters, I wanted to really talk to someone that could talk to me about a mother's, what questions the mother would ask, what answers the psychologist might give. So Pat said, we have a psychologist that works with our foundation Angel Families. And she said, "No, I think she's in Northern California." "Yeah, she's in Sacramento." I said, "Pat, I'm in Sacramento." Turns out she's at the Kaiser Hospital South Sac, the Kaiser I go to, and Hillary Van Horn Gatlin. And she did. She helped me. We did a role play, and it made it so authentic. And so she said, "You be Jessica, and you ask the questions, that you would ask." And she answered like I was her client, which basically I was. So again, it made it so authentic. Yeah. I'm sorry. More serendipity. So my publisher came down and he said, "You need to find," when the book was ready and it was going to come out, I needed to find endorsements. And he said, "Try to find author endorsements for, and how easy is that? It's not easy." I did write emails to several and didn't get answers. And so I knew that the next step would be to find publications that do reviews of books that are coming out. So I Googled again, and I just typed in popular publications that handle book reviews. And a gazillion of them came up, right? So I just started scrolling. Finally, I just clicked on one, totally at random. I promise you, it was totally at random. And when I opened it up, it was actually for self-published authors. And I thought, well, that doesn't really apply to me. I have no idea why I didn't click out of it. For some reason, I went to the bottom and I found out 2 authors had written this particular post. And one of them was a grief writing teacher. So I looked up her website. She wasn't only a grief writing, or is not only a grief writing teacher, her son died of neuroblastoma. What are the chances? What are the chances? And her endorsement is here. Alice J. Weisler. She read it and endorsed it. And I told her, if this is too painful for you, I understand completely. And she said, "No, I'd love to read it." And yeah, so that was incredible. It sent chills up and down my spine. It truly did. So This particular picture is Better Place Forest, and I don't want to seem as if I'm trying to sell them to you. I am not. What happened was I was looking up cemeteries in Placerville, and I ran across Better Place Forest, which is one of the first memorial forests that are that actually own the forest. And you can pick a tree and have your ashes actually mixed with the soil. And you pick the location, you pick the site, it can be near a river, whatever tree you want, and then you mix your ashes, and it's just like you have a memorial there, and forever your family can go there. And I thought, how perfect is that? Because Amber's up there in the forest. She got lost in the forest. Placerville was a place I visited many times, but also in the book she visited, her and her mother visited many times. So it was ideal for what I needed. And when I contacted them, they put their company behind the book, and that was remarkable as well. Wonderful guides. They don't pressure you or anything like that. Mr. Gibson, the founder of the Better Place Forest, I've been in contact with him, and wonderful man. And so, again, serendipity. So this is where this picture comes in. So, as I said, Pat and I have become very good friends, and she invited me this. They have yearly parent education programs, and the parents are invited, the children are as well, and medical professionals from all over the world. And she invited me to that, and this was this past July, at the end of July. And these two pictures here, I got permission from the parents to put them on social media. And I found out just before the conference that Evelyn, this is Eve, this is Evelyn, but Evelyn had passed away. Absolutely broke my heart. But I contacted Pat and I asked her, please contact Evelyn's mother, Lindsay, and ask her if she wants me to take it down. I totally understand. And she answered no. She said she wanted her daughter to be up there. She loved that picture, and she was happy that she would, help bring awareness to neuroblastoma. And so I attended the conference. And the one thing about this particular neuroblastoma is it is the third most common, but is woefully underfunded. And I'm not saying that leukemia and brain cancer aren't just what they are. And that's why I want to bring awareness. And Pat actually talked me into getting up and speaking in front of, yikes, if you don't think that was scary. But I didn't make it about my book. I made it mainly about why, the story behind the story, very briefly. And I got a lot of good comments, and a lot of the medical professionals came up and took a bookmark, which I was happy with. And during the break, in one of the sessions, I was out in the hallway getting a cup of coffee. And a woman approached me, a young woman, and she said, "You're Gloria Galloway, right?" I said, "Yeah." And I thought she was coming to talk to me about my book. It was actually Evelyn's mother, Lindsay. She was there, and my God, the woman thanking me. There are no words to describe that feeling. She gave me the biggest hug, and again, told me about Evelyn. And in fact, last week we had a conversation, actually a Zoom meeting, where we talked about Evelyn. And that little girl, 4 years old when she passed, but she was so brave. Her favorite thing was dancing. And it's interesting because, of course, every young child's favorite princess, right? Disney princesses, was Belle. Amber's favorite princess was Belle. And in the original, I had to take out Disney princesses and substitute fairies because you can't talk about Disney princesses, any of them, in a book without Disney getting very upset. So I changed it to fairies. But before that, there was a part where I said, where Amber was talking about she wanted to wear her bell costume to her birthday party for her 4th birthday. And her mother said, but it's going to be in a castle, and we bought this other costume for you. Don't you want it? Well, Amber wanted it, but Mom, it's Belle. She wanted that yellow gown. She did wear the other costume. But interesting that was Evelyn's favorite as well. And Lindsay and I she said, I hope we can keep, talking to each other. And I said, absolutely, absolutely. She said, because I want, and she wants the recording of this to be able to listen to it. And yeah, wonderful connection. And what else? Sorry, I'm trying to. But anyway, that's the story behind the story. And it's just been a wonderful experience doing this. As a cancer survivor, I know how important it is to get my facts straight. And, oh, that's the other thing. Neuroblastoma, one of the treatments is called MIBG. I won't even attempt to pronounce what that stands for, but what it is a treatment that is so radioactive that it has to be given in a concrete leaded room. It is that radioactive. Yet it is injected by IV, and the children are not affected. They, you'd think that much radioactivity would hurt them, but it only affects the neuroblastoma cells. Other healthy cells are left unhurt, which is remarkable. And I knew I had to put that in the book. So again, I researched and I found a hospital that does that. There's many hospitals that have that treatment. And it's actually, they have the concrete leaded room, but they have a parent suite, almost like a hotel right next to it. And the parents stay there. There's a leaded glass that they can see their child while they're being treated, because they can't be in the room with them when that's going through them. And they talk by, through their laptop. And yeah, it's not a cure, unfortunately. Right now there is no cure for neuroblastoma. And that's why it's so important that money goes into this. But yeah, and when I called the hospital in Columbus, Ohio, I talked to a Dr. Rainelli. What happened was I emailed the hospital and said, I'm an author, I just want to know something more about it. And the next morning when I woke up, I had an email back that said, Dr. Rainelli, our oncologist, will be calling you sometime when he has a chance today. And I thought, oh my gosh, does he think I'm a parent that has a child? And when he called, he said, no, I know you're an author, what do you want to know? He talked to me for over 40 minutes about it and told me all about it. And it's remarkable because he was saying that any child that goes into a hospital is going to be scared. But when they put them in these IMIBG rooms, they go out of their way to make them comfortable. They'll put teddy bears, their favorite type animals, stuffed animals on the bed. They even find out what kind of bedding they have at home, and they'll make up the bedding for them. And another thing hospitals do for children, neuroblastoma, I'll tell you a little bit about what it is. It's a immature cell that grows into a tumor. And generally it's above the kidneys and the glands there, but it can grow in the stomach and lungs, even in different parts of the body, and it's this tumor, and it does have to be removed. So when children have to go through surgery, of course all of us are scared, but children especially. So they have what they call child life specialists, and they take a child into the hospital, right, and they bring them into a room, and they have play equipment plus real equipment, right? And so they let the child take their teddy's blood pressure, they blow up the gloves, right, to balloons. Since they have to have a mask over their face, which they're scared of, they don't know what that is, the child life specialist will actually put bubbles in them and have them blow through it so that when that doctor comes up and puts it over there, they're not scared of it, right? And I thought, wow, that's just wonderful. So again, that's in the book. And I just knew how important it is to get it right. And I think I did that. And I thank you so much for all your time listening.